Hello and welcome to the Press Room, where today we're discussing analytics in big data. So how do organizations get better from here? What are those elements to have a good strategy around data and analytics?
Don't think of it as being a one and done implementation.
Right.
It really is a process where you have to kind of like identify, well, what do you want the analytics to do? What are our problems that we need solving? You don't want to start off with the tool and figure out what the problem is. You want to figure out what are my problems, and then what are the right tools, what are the right resources, and what are the right people do I need to solve the problems?
And that's one of the reasons why I think the three of us in various ways have really been pushing back on the whole big data concept, because it isn't really a discussion around big data per se. It's a discussion around value, strategy, analytics, and whether it's small data, big data, it's data that actually is brought to bear.
Yeah, and when I see companies that have great data architecture in place, what they have is a data architect who can look at the variety of data that the company needs to store, sense that there's business need to store this data, and then find the right technology solution. And not buy into one technology solution or another, but we'll see companies kind of blending their relational database systems for some of the data, doing some open source big table type Hadoop stuff for others. The most successful companies we see have a data architect who is sensing what the business needs are for certain types of data and building a total data ecosystem.
One of the things that I do believe, and I'm not just saying this as a consultant who's looking to become be involved with companies, is that the cross-pollination that comes about from outward thinking and bringing it inward is a very important part of being a successful business. And I do see whether it's big data or analytics, that I do think that companies are perhaps behaving a bit naively in terms of the extent and the diversity and richness and value that can be generated by their own ideas without necessarily going outward more.
I think the sense in which we're kind of joking that this is, quote, easy, is that there's textbook knowledge involved, right? You can take a class from Elea at Wharton. You can learn stuff on your own. You can take online, classes now. There are all sorts of ways of learning analytics. So that's textbook knowledge. There's also tacit knowledge involved. There's just the kind of like street sense. There's just the domain expertise, and there's just learning by doing.
Oh, you should take my class. I teach that street
sense.
sense.
No, it's very important though. And just getting back to your question about what does it take to have a successful, I'm not going to say implementation, but I just did. It's kind of knowing what you don't know, or understanding that you can't learn it all by reading a manual. You can't learn it all by reading a magazine article or something like that. The real value of these things doesn't necessarily come from the algorithms. It comes from the information that you put into the algorithms. Well, the creativity involved, in knowing how to adjust the data, how to scrub the data.
And you'll speak to it better than I, Jim, because we've talked about this a lot. Why don't you talk about your three capitals?
There's information capital. All right, that's what we're talking about. That's the stuff, the raw material in the closet. To go back to your metaphor, there's the human capital, right? Which is both technologists. It's very multidisciplinary. You need technologists. You need people who can program with data. You need people who can scrub and clean data. And you also need human capital in the form of business analysts, people who are statisticians, all right, in one form or another, whether they have a PhD in statistics or whether they have, whether they're smart people who have picked it up in some other way. That's the human capital. And the third capital is social capital, all right. You need to have the capital to say, okay, I'm the guy in charge of this project. Once we've done this, we're going to find a way to take the model or the analysis or the needle that we found in the haystack, and we're actually going to take that information and act differently with it. Because if people aren't making a different decision, if they're not taking a different action with it, it was all for naught. The ROI is negative because you've spent money but you haven't realized any benefit. So if you don't have that kind of cultural capital, that's a social capital for analytics, it's going to fail. So those are the three capitals: data capital, human capital, and social capital.